Hey everyone, today we will be discussing the thesis, how an individual's family influences their human experience. Within this discussion, we will be exploring the concept of family and relationships, as well as the human experience itself. We will be exploring this through Tim Winton's memoir, The Boy Behind the Curtain, with which we will be analysing the essays In the Shadow of the Hospital and Havoc, A Life in Accidents. We will also be exploring Han Kang's novella The White Book, which is about an anonymous narrator whose parents' first daughter tragically died before the narrator herself was born. As a result, they decided to have another child, being the narrator herself. So, let's get into it. Now, both Winton and Kang portray the paradoxical nature of human existence. This paradox is presented through the duality of life and death. In Tim Winton's essay, In the Shadow of the Hospital, the paradox of the hospital setting is actually explored through Winton's relationship with his father and his father's ongoing hospital visits. Winton features the hyperbolic simile. My first memory of the inside of a hospital was like a descent into the netherworld. Winton uses the term netherworld to highlight the destructive, morbid nature of hospitals. However, he actually later contrasts this with an experience he later has with his father. Here, my father said, pressing my palm against his new pacemaker. They can do amazing things these days. Through this, the incongruity of hospitals, as well as the duality of life and death, is truly portrayed. And as a result of this relational experience with his father, Winton actually reveals his understanding that hospitals are not only a place of inevitable mortality, but are also a place of deliverance. Now, much like Winton, Han Kang also explores the duality of life and death in her novella, The White Book. Kang portrays this duality through the paradoxical life experiences of the novella's anonymous narrator. Now, at one stage in the novella, the narrator refers to herself in the third person. Looking at herself in the mirror, she never forgot that death was hovering behind that face. The metaphor used here actually makes reference to her older sister's death, and the fact that she lives her life in the place of that death. This concept is further explained through the closing line of the entire novella, I will breathe in the final breath you released. This paradoxical statement solidifies the concept of the dual nature of life and death, as it highlights the fact that the narrator's life was formed only as a result of and once her sister had died. So, as well as exploring the duality of life and death, both Tim Winton and Han Kang explore life's anomalies. They encourage their readers to see the world differently through the unique value they place upon trauma. In his essay Havoc, A Life in Accidents, Winton exposes the way in which the traumatic family and personal experiences of his past have actually shaped who he is today. The geographical imagery featured in Winton's insight, my life feels like a topography of accidents. They are the landmarks by which I take my bearings, actually reflects upon the many traumatic experiences he's suffered with his father or as a result of his father's injuries. Through this, Winton exposes the value a person can gain from life's challenges in that they provide growth within oneself. Later, with reference to his own near-death experience, Winton makes an analysis. I think the prang was a gift, it shaped my life. Now, through this paradoxical statement, Winton explains how his life has actually taken its course based on that traumatic experience. Winton therefore reveals the anomalous nature of trauma in that it has provided a great sense of value within his life. In The White Book, the narrator analyses the ways in which her relationship with her sister's death has placed value upon her life. She refers to the death of her sister through the paradox. Had that life made it safely past the point of crisis, my own birth would not have come about. Through this, the narrator explores the anomalous way in which her life has gained value. Had her sister not died, her life would never have been formed. Later in the novella, the narrator uses the metaphor, with your eyes I will see the deepest, most dazzling place within a white cabbage. The narrator's use of second-person pronoun directs this statement at her deceased sister. This metaphor highlights the beauty the narrator is able to find in life as a result of her sister's mortality, in that this death has provided her with life, the most valuable gift of all. Well, there you have it. As a result of the duality of life and death and the valuable nature of trauma, with reference to family and relationships, it is revealed that an individual's family greatly influences their human experience.